Hello, fellow Chartists. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am the Chartist. And today's Saturday, but yesterday we had a very interesting day in the stock market, okay? So take a look on December 2nd. That was Thursday. Looks like a bull trap, okay? Now on Wednesday, we had this big sell-off, okay? After we retested some previous levels that we broke, it came down, sold off. Then the very next day, we had a big bullish day right here. Okay? Had a lot of people who were betting to the downside, and it looked like they got squeezed out and forced some of the shorts to cover. All right? And then the next morning it gapped up, moved up a little bit, hit around 460 before selling all the way back down. All right? So one was they trapped they squeezed the shorts out, and then the next day they trapped the bulls. All right, you gotta love how the market makers work. Okay, but yesterday, of course, I share my technical analysis every morning through my Discord for my Discord members, and the plan yesterday was to see a 462 price target because we did got a recapture on the 2nd of December. So it was the price action was looking buzz. It looked like it wanted to head back up. We got a recapture after a false breakdown. But we didn't get the 462 price target, okay? Mind you, supports are 457, then 455.5 to the 454.5 zone yesterday. Of course, if 454.5 failed, my downside target, I would have turned bearish that time, and it was 449 to 450 zone, okay? So a lot of time with price action analysis, you want to try to enter on your support level if you're betting to the long side, to the upside. But something that I want to mention is you got to be able to cut your losses and manage risk because nothing is 100%. And you got to be willing to change if the price action changed. So that day, yesterday actually, I ended up getting a call. I bought some calls around 455 to the 454.5 zone. And I got stopped out, okay? So I actually ended up taking a $500 loss yesterday, which for me was a small loss, not a big deal. So yeah, that happens sometime in trading. You're not always gonna win everything, and I just want to be honest with you guys. Yesterday I took $500 loss. That's small for me, but I was very happy because I bet to the upside at a support zone. Okay, I executed my plan, and I had a place where I was willing to cut my loss if it went against me. And it did go against me. It hit my stop loss, and I was happy because it went even lower, just like I expected it to. Because I did say in my analysis that if we lose 454.5, we would head all the way down to the 449 to 450 zone, which it did, okay? So a lot of time when you see stuff like this, when you're trading price action trading, you got to be able to respect your stop loss and switch if the price action switch, okay? So what happened, what the plan was, it was going to be bullish as long as the microphone pattern, the recapture of this microphone pattern, this purple one, held. We was going to stay bullish. But if we lost it, we was going to switch over to bearish and then bet to the downside. Now, I did not bet to the downside because I ended up buying puts on Tesla and had a pretty good amount of winning with Tesla. I have a room where we share our gains here. This is another gain for one of my members. So I was able to get about a little over 5 G's, but there's the loss, the $500 loss. Okay, so I would have switched over to puts, but I didn't want to be greedy. Plus, my blood pressure was just going. Okay, so I didn't want to trade when I was feeling extremely emotional. Okay, so that happened, but very happy to see that even though it switched over to bearish, it actually came right to the zone that I was expecting, the 449 to 450 zone, and it bounced. Okay. Now, this blue line right here extends all the way back to, if I make it smaller, all the way back to the low of March 2020, okay? That's where I started it, and I had it running through the lows of October. Okay, now I'll make it big again. Right there. So it had the touch where it started from March 2020, a touch here on the 4th of October, and of course the 6th of October. And now, as soon as it hit again yesterday, we had a nice, good amount of buying pressure, okay? So there's a chance that sometime next week, maybe even early next week, we're going to get some relief rally, all right? Maybe back test 454.5 and see if that gets recaptured. Okay, so what I'll be looking for, of course, as price action analysis, I'm going to talk about the bullish scenario and the possible bearish scenario. And, we got to react accordingly, okay? We're not trying to predict the market. We just want to react to the market. And the best way for us to react to the market is if we predetermine the possible scenarios, okay? So I'm going to go over two with you guys, all right? So there's a chance in the bullish scenario we recapture this, all right? I want to see a retest and then possibly go up higher, okay? That's my bullish scenario. So we could recapture 454.5, maybe head up to 457, maybe get a nice low pullback there, and then head up to back to this green. That's now a resistant line right here, okay? So if we can get a recapture, we could possibly head back up to like 462, maybe 463 around there, okay? Of course, there's always another scenario where it does retrace back a little bit, but then we'll get rejected and fail to recapture 454.5. That would be a good time to short around there. And then we'll just head down lower and lose that support line. And when I say support line, I mean the blue support line that's traced all the way back to March 2020, okay? Now we had a lot of, couple of bottom, it looks like a bottom, not a bottom, but 450, very important level to 449, okay? So if it doesn't come back and retrace the blue line, it can always retrace, just come down and retrace from that white line where I have it, which is the 449 to 450 zone, and then head down lower. Now these red rectangular looking things, they're gaps, okay? So we got a gap here for 448. If we lose 448, we can sell all the way down to 443. Now 443 is where I would look to enter and go long. Okay, guys? That's where I'm going to look to go long. And of course, I will cut my loss if we lose about 442, 442.5. Tight stop loss. The thing about tight stop loss, they're good, but also keep in mind, you got the market makers. They move the markets and they move it. They whipsaw us. So it's not always good to have a tight stop loss. Sometimes you got to give your room, your play some room to breathe, to play around, to move up and down a little bit, okay? Because if you got a tight stop loss, you'll get stopped out only for the market makers to push it back higher. So that's just something to consider. But that's up to you guys to figure out, okay, how you want to manage your risk, okay? I'm not going to tell you how to manage your risk because all of our risk profiles are different from each other, okay? But I could tell you what I plan to do is if we get this bearish scenario, we lose that blue trend line, I'm going to be very bearish, all right, and bet to the downside, especially if we lose this 448, 447 zone. And I won't look to go long until we get down to 443 to the 442 zone. Okay, guys? And of course, if we lose that, we have another gap down here at 436 to 438, around there. And I will look to go long there, okay? But keep in mind, we can play both ways. All right, anytime we lose a critical support level, you can always short down to the next support level, all right? And vice versa, all right? But, for some people, they find it easier to just play one side. They like to be a bull in a bull market or, maybe be a bear in a bear trend, whatever the case is for you, okay? And some people, they can do both, okay? So you got to know your strength and know your weaknesses. All right, so that's the scenarios that I have for SPY. If you need to hear it again, just replay this part of the video again and just listen. Now the VIX, check out the VIX. All right, so this purple trend line, the falling trend line, something that started since right here, since April of 2020. Okay, it's a while back. We got a touch there, and a touch there. Got a few touches. And then we got this breakout, false breakout again. Then the next day we closed again to confirm it's not a false breakout. Had like a pause real quick, but it still closed above the breakout level, which is bullish. And then yesterday it came down to test it, because anytime you see a breakout, you always want to see the retest, right? Boom. It retested it, successful, and it just exploded up. Okay, so the VIX is still looking bullish. A bullish VIX is a bearish SPY. Now, if you start seeing the VIX closing below 26 again, it's going to start looking more like a false breakout, all right, which probably would be good news for the bulls, okay? So I like to watch the VIX and the SPY at the same time and see how they both their price action if it's going opposite of each other, all right? So when I see SPY, if SPY, for example, goes with the bullish scenario and it breaks above into the megaphone pattern again, I'm going to be watching to see if the VIX will break down from this purple falling trend line right here. You guys understand what I'm saying? So that's what I like to do with VIX and the SPY, all right? I'm trading the SPY, but I use the VIX to assist me, okay? So scenario for the VIX, with that, it just continues to go up high, okay? Or it can fake us out, got us thinking one thing, and then continue to go up high. All right. So, but another scenario, of course, where it breaks down, you want to see the confirmation of the breakdown, and then it head high. I'm gonna put that green because green bearish VIX is a bullish SPY. You guys get it at this point, right? I've been trying to drill into you, but I'm assuming you guys get it. Okay. Moving on to the triple Q. Triple Q lost its green support line a couple days ago. Retest right here. And yesterday it confirmed, heading down lower. And of course, yesterday we lost this white support line. That was a critical support level since October. Then it touched here. So we had two touches from October 6th. Then we had another two touches, October 12th and October 13th. So this line was very important. We got a touch here, December 1st. Yesterday, Thursday with the false breakdown. It recaptured, which was looking bullish. But then yesterday, it was like, nope, sorry, bulls. And it broke right down, okay? And it bounced, well, it went a little lower than the 50-day moving average, but it got recaptured, okay? So we'll see what happens. A bullish scenario would be the recapture of that white line. Retest, that's where I would look to enter, and then we'll head up higher, okay? Bearish scenario, it'll give us a retracement of the white line, but it'll get rejected there, okay? And then we'll head down lower. So definitely watch out. Let the price action guide you. All right? Let it guide you. This is what I mean by letting it guide you. You watch where the rejections are. You watch where the bounces are. Okay? So bullish, it'll reclaim or recapture the white rising trend line. Okay? So that's around where 389.2 is right now. It'll go up, retest, up higher, okay? Now, if it gets rejected there, very bearish. That's a bearish sign, okay? Stay betting to the downside. Moving on to the Dow Jones. Dow Jones, well, on Thursday, we had the recapture of the 200-day moving average, and it gave us this inside day candle, which is why I have these white lines right here. And yesterday, it was kind of a bearish day, but it kind of didn't really go nowhere compared to December 2nd and yesterday, because if you look where it closed almost the same way it closed on Thursday. But we are seeing some bullish momentum building for the Dow Jones because not only did we recapture the 200-day moving average, Dow Jones closed just above the 5-day moving average. Okay? But I will not be bullish until the Dow Jones can break 350.4 and close above it. All right? That will be the break of the mother candle's high. So I will bet to the upside by then. I will bet to the downside when I see the mother candle's low get taken out. That's around 340.2, okay? Everything in between is just choppy price action, okay? So that's my plan for the Dow Jones. IWM, looking very bearish now, okay? We got this rising trend line right here. Started here, a touch there, as you can see. All right? Okay? Now on December 2nd, we got the recapture, right? Looking bullish because it looked like a false breakdown, recapture. But like I said with the SPY, looked like the shorts were just getting squeezed out and they were covering. Then the very next day, trapped the bulls, and we got another breakdown under this critical support line, okay? So my next price target for IWM would be another previous low around 210 and then 209. And if it gets lower than that, it's going to get real nasty, probably down lower, down to 204, then 200, around there, okay? But we'll talk more about that when the time comes, okay? So the bearish scenario is if we retest this trend line again, get rejected from there, and we're going to head down lower. Bullish scenario is if we recapture this trend line, it gets retested, and we'll head up higher, okay? It's not going to look perfect the way I have it like this, but you got to understand, like I said earlier, watch where it gets rejected and watch where the level, if it breaks, and where it gets retested, okay? That's how you know if it's if the bull scenario or the bear scenario, okay? That's what I mean by letting the price action guide you. All right, so we're going to be watching these two scenarios for IWM, and we're going to react accordingly, okay? As traders, we do not try, or at least I don't recommend trying to predict the market or trying to impose your will on the market. Just react to whatever the price action is giving you. I don't like watching the news because the news just, it just puts you in a bad mood, or it'll either fill you with fear or fill you with greed. Okay, we don't want to be emotional traders. We want to be objective traders. Okay, moving on to Bitcoin. Bitcoin finally broke out of the falling wedge, and as you can see from this white line, sorry about the moving average today, guys. As you can see with this white line right here, touch there, touch there. So this was a falling trend line. And back in October 5th, we finally got the breakout where it went nearly parabolic. But we never quite actually seen it got retested yet until, well, today. It happened right now, today. Okay? And so far, even though it went just below, if there was any stop losses there, all them stop losses got taken out. Market makers took out the stop losses because a lot of times, if you're a retail trader and you know about how breakouts, you want to see the retest of the breakout to confirm that it's going to head up higher. Where would you set your stop loss? Just under the breakout level. So they will if they entered there on 45.7, where the breakout level was of this falling trend line, they would have set their stop loss just under it. And if there are any bunch of stop losses that got clustered, the market makers took your money. And now it looks like they're looking to push it right back up. But we'll see. Okay? So obviously, if that trend line holds, very bullish. Okay? We could head up higher. Now the bearish scenario, of course, if it comes down, retest, reject it from there, then head down lower. All right, guys, we're going to keep it that simple. We're not going to complicate things with the news. All right, this is what a chartist does, and this is what the chartist does. All right, and of course, if you're wrong, cut your loss. All right, for the people that are struggling with cutting loss because they're dealing with pattern day trading rules, I recommend, and you have a small account, I recommend going to cash account. All right, with cash account, you don't have to deal with the pattern day trading rules, okay? You might not be able to trade as much because you can only trade based on how much capital you have, but it's better than just sitting there with a loss because you don't want to have to deal with, the pattern day trading and you can't trade for 30 days or whatever. It sucks. Okay, so I recommend getting a cash account. So that's what I have for you guys today. Have a relaxed, safe, and more than awesome weekend. Let's get ready for next week. Hope you make a shit ton of money, and I see you all soon.